Ladies and gentlemen, lend me your ears and your eyes. Diva Divine Light, live from Brooklyn, New York.
No delaying for what you saying, yo. Said it with my 9 million with the dilly, yo. When I be on the mic, yes, I do my duty, yo. While up in the club, I be while in the studio. You don't wanna vibe, nigga, really and truly, yo. My main thug, nigga named Julio, he moody, yo. I'm a nigga that'll slap me with the tulio. Bitch, nigga scared to death, act fruity, yo. Fuck that, look at shorty, she a little cutie, yo. The way you shake it, make me wanna get all in the booty, yo. With no delaying for what you saying, yo.
Diva Divine Light.
Really my heart to me. Fuck me, see what you got for me. Put more than hands with my eyes to see. Still $1 in the place to be. If you really my heart to me. Fuck me, see what you got for me. Put more than hands with my eyes to see. Still $1 in the place to be. If you.
You're watching Diva, the Divine Light. A fun-loving, caring, passionate person who talks about sex, celebrity, and real-life issues, and even abuse. So hit that like button and make sure you share the show.
Really my heart to me. Fuck me, see what you got for me. Put more than hands with my eyes to see. Still $1 in the place to be. If you really my heart to me. Fuck me, see what you got for me. Put more than hands with my eyes to see. Still $1 in the place to be. If you really my heart to me. Fuck me, see what you got for me. Put more than hands with my eyes to see. Still $1 in the place to be. If you really my heart to me. Fuck me, see what you got for me. Put more than hands with my eyes to see. Still $1 in the place to be. If you.
Here comes the pitch, and it comes in wide. On the combo.
Yo! Hi guys. There's some stuff going on behind the scenes right now. You gotta give me a second. Oh. All right, listen, guys. Hello, my loves. Hello, everybody. Hello, hello, hello. What's up? What's up? What's up? Welcome. Well, let me just explain to you my drama, okay?
Really? Oh my fucking god. You gotta go tell the whole world.
I'm gonna tell the fucking whole world because that shit was horrible. I got T Baby on the phone with me, and David's over here with his punk ass, fucking playing his game. It's our it's Miller time. Okay, in my house we call it Miller time. Okay. Y'all know what that means, right? Right. Puff puff pass. Okay, so we're in the middle of it. He's asking me, whatever. I'm smoking. I go to pass it to him. Of course, he's playing the game. So I'm going to be the good wife that I am, and I'm going to serve him. Right. So I'm putting it to his mouth. He's taking drags. And I'm like, hurry up with the smoke because I got T Baby on the phone. He's playing the game. So I'm kind of rushing him to smoke. And I kept like, he blows out the smoke. And then I put it to his mouth again, like, hurry up here. So he starts fighting with me, bitching and moaning, whatever. So I come back. Now I'm setting up for the live. I got T Baby over here. We kiki talking shit, right? So now all of a sudden David gets off the fucking game. Oh shit, what happened? Oh, I don't know what happened. T Baby left me. I guess she's gonna join the chat. Well, anyway, so I go. I'm talking to T Baby. I'm burning it down, kicking, whatever. We bugging out. All of a sudden, David comes. He's like, he grabs the shit from me from my hand, and he's like, "What the fuck? You smoked the whole fucking shit, man." He takes a pull. He sucks in some bud. So the bud gets caught in his mouth. So I'm laughing, and in the motion of me laughing, he hacks out the piece of bud, and the piece of bud went into my throat.
Bullseye!
So now I'm grossed out. I'm hacking, trying to get it out. Oh man. And then my daughter comes into the room, and she's in the kitchen and she's listening to us. And she comes up the kitchen and goes, "Dad, don't you remember it's COVID?" "What are you doing, Dad? That's gross." Oh shit. So y'all gotta give me a minute. Y'all gotta give me a minute. I gotta get this shit out. Oh my God. That was horrible. That nigga said, and that shit went into my throat. Now I'm choking on bud. So I'm sorry, guys, because it just happened as I was about to go live. Oh. And then David has the nerve to tell me, "Karma, bitch, karma."
Karma.
And I said, "Karma? For what?" He said, "Because you smoked that whole thing without me." Oh, guys, y'all had to be here. Oh, shit. Ooh. Yo, that was hysterical. let me get myself together. I'll be right back, okay? You mean to tell me I've been shouting everybody out and there's no sound? I'm a crazy lady. You see what happens? Well, I shouted everybody out. I said all your names. It's one of those days for me, okay? All right. Well, let's get to the nitty gritty of shit. So, there's sound now or no? Still no sound. Okay. No sound. Is there sound now? Microphone check. Oh my God. Why did I forget to put the microphone on? You see, guys, this David distract me. That's what happens when you smoke that sticky icky and then you get distracted with people. I got ADD. That's what it is. Excuse me. I said hello to everybody. I said a massive hello to everybody. I shouted every single one of you guys out. I love you. Hey, Peter. What's up, Peter? Somebody just came into the building. LaKendra, what's up, sis? Hi, baby. What do you mean you still can't hear me? What? Hold on. Are you fucking kidding? Yeah. Okay. All right. You guys hear me? Please tell me you hear me loud and clear. Microphone check 1 2. What is it? It's you can hear me now? Okay. Thank you guys. Once again, hello everyone. I'm sorry for the inconvenience for the past 23 minutes. Like it was a horror for me. So sorry about that, guys. I said hello to everyone. Hello, hello, hello. A massive hello to everyone. Thank you, Amos. I love you, puppy. So, we are here to find out what's going on with Richard Arline. Now, as we all know, Richard Arline is the part of R. Kelly's enterprise, right? Quote unquote. He ran with R. Kelly from 2006 up until 2019, up until R. Kelly got put away. So, now when that happened, he went to trial. We know that he's the one who did the bribery with where what's her name again? Nicole Becker was allegedly involved, as well as Dr. Rice and him, and I believe Cash Jones, and Don Russell, and they were all in communication, to where he was trying to give, what's her name, a bribe. All right, somebody's. Hold on a second, guys. Let me stop this shit. Okay. It's always tune. Let me give you a pow tune. All right. So, anyway, right, John Doe. Richard Arline is one of the John Does that was in trial, who testified to being a John Doe that was assaulted, sexually assaulted, or coerced, whatever you want to call it. He was taken advantage of as a child, a teenager. He picked him up from McDonald's in the drive-through side, because that's where Richard Arline was working. He was working in the drive-through, so that's how he met R. Kelly. So Williams, who burned Azriel's car, already was sentenced. He's got 8 years, and that's what he's right. Or 5 years. But he's supposed to, right. Williams, Michael Williams, was sentenced to 8 years in prison. So we already know he's gone. He's done. Right. Richard Arline is what we're waiting for. He's next. So his sentencing is supposed to be coming up June 1st. But today, his lawyer decided to put in a letter, okay, asking, Dear Judge Donnelly, as you know, I represent Richard Arline in the above referenced matter. Mr. Arline is scheduled to be sentenced by the court on June 1st of 2022. I write with the consent of the government to request a brief adjournment of Mr. Arline's sentencing to June 9th, 10th, or 13th of 2022. The defense needs additional time in order to obtain additional letters in support of his sentencing and to meet with Mr. Arline in connection with sentencing. Respectfully submitted, his lawyer, Cesar de Castro. And he CC'd Elizabeth Geddes, which, as we know, is the prosecutor for the government, also known as the Assistant United States Attorney. Okay, the AUSA. Okay. Then the government responded. The judge put in an order. Let me go into it. Arline, here we go. Okay. Okay. All righty. Okay. So Judge Donnelly came back and put in an order, and she granted his motion to continue sentencing as to Richard Arline Jr. And the sentencing set for June 1st of 2022 is now reset for June 14th, 2022 at 3 p.m. in her courtroom. So that means, God willing, Diva will be there with this shirt on June 14th and June 15th, because June 15th is R. Kelly sentencing. So just figured I'd let you guys know, give you guys an update on what's going on with that. All right. And let me also give you guys a reminder about what's going on with Don Russell. Is this right now? Wait. Oh, yeah, I think something just came in right now. All right, give me 1 second. Okay, I'm pulling up Don's file so I can give you guys. I didn't get a chance to set it up, so I'm sorry. All right, now, um, Don Russell's lawyer just put in a motion to appear. Okay. Um, also, let me remind you guys that um, right, it's over here. Uh, right, Don Russell's hearing in the Southern District of New York. Okay, because that's where his trial is, in the Southern District of New York. And his Curcio hearing is tomorrow. His Curcio hearing is tomorrow. Unfortunately, I cannot get there. So we're going to miss out on this one, but I'm pretty sure we will get paperwork. Let's see what happens. Okay. So his court appearance is for tomorrow in the Southern District of New York, in Manhattan at 12 p.m. And then I think this is it here, right? Okay. Another reminder about Don Russell. His trial, okay, which was supposed to start January 18th of this year, but they adjourned it to July 18th. So his trial is supposed to start July 18th of 2022 at 9:30 in the morning. And like I said, it's in the Southern District of New York courts. Okay, and that's in Manhattan. Hopefully I can make it to that one. And also the judge put in an order for all of the motions that are in limine. And in limine, as we remember, is usually evidentiary stuff that goes for evidence. It's dismissing things, putting in things like that. Also, a proposed voir dire, as we all know, jury selection, right? And requests to charge are now due June 27th. So the jury charges are due by June 27th of 2022. And then the responsive papers are due by July 5th. Okay, so all the responses to the jury charges and stuff like that, they want to change questions, language, whatever it is, like the same thing with like they did with R. Kelly. Okay. So the responses are due by July 5th. The motions are due by June 27th, as well as the voir dire. And it says that with the consent of Don Russell, by and through his attorney, who was attorney at the time, I gather, because now he changed attorneys. They said the time from January 18th through July 18th is excluded under the Speedy Trial Act. So, in the interest of justice, the ends of justice served by the granting of this continuance outweigh the interests of the public and defendant Don Russell in a speedy trial, because it will permit the parties additional time to prepare for trial in light of COVID-19 related travel constrictions and safety concerns. And it is so ordered that the motions are due by June 27th, and the responses to those motions are due by July 5th, and jury trial is set for July 18th, 2022 at 9:30 a.m. All right. So hopefully I can make it there. Let's see what happens, guys. All right. So now where's the email I just got? I just got something in my email. Hold on. Oh, I got a couple of things here. Okay, hold on. Oh, this just came in. Okay. Oh, all right. It's just the paperwork because it went into the pacer, but now they put in the actual paperwork because it's saying here for me to download the docket, and I just read that, guys, to you. I just read that off to you guys. So I mean, it really makes no sense because she's just putting an order granting the motion. That's it. Okay. Let me see what the other one was. Wait a minute. Wait, maybe something's wrong here. Let me see, because it just said 17 new docket entries for the United States versus Russell. Wait. Oh shit, did they just unseal all these documents? Is that what this is? Let me go in here. Hold on. This is for Don Russell. Can I see what it is? Wait, let me see. I gotta go back one more. Because this now. All right, give me a second, guys. I'm trying to get this together. Hold on. Oh, here we go. But it doesn't have. It just has dates. All right. March 11th. 2 documents from March 11th. March 11th. 11th of what? 2020. March 11th, 2020. Yeah, cause wasn't this was sealed, right? And it's Don Russell's complaint was sealed. So I guess now it's open. Because I had grabbed it before. Let me see. Yeah, so now it's opened. Okay. All right. Let me go back over here. And we have August 13 files, August 14, 13, and 14. Numbers 3, 4. Oh, okay. Go back. Consent to proceed by video or telephone conference. Okay. And this one was attorney update in the case. Okay. Minute entry for proceedings held before. Okay. Initial appearance as to Don Russell held on 8/14/2020. Death appears with federal defender and AUSA Peter Davis for the government. $75,000 PRB. Travel limited to Southern District of New York. Okay, so he had to, his bond was $75,000. So he's out on bail, as we know. Appearance bond entered to Don Russell, $75,000 personal reckonance bond. Additional conditions. Advice of penalties and sanctions attached. Okay. Order to constitute the interest of justice. Time excluded. Indictment filed. Okay, let me see what the other one was. Okay. October 8th. Text only order. Trying to see if there was any transcript or something, maybe. Terminate deadlines and hearings. May 21st. Status conference. 21st. All right. Nothing much. Okay. Nothing new, guys. Nothing new. All right. So, all right. Sorry, I was behind the scenes, so I couldn't really see what you guys were doing or talking about right now. So yeah. So that is what I wanted to update you guys on and let you guys know what is going on there with these two gentlemen. So that's what's going on with these two. All right. So their trial dates have been changed. And Richard Arline and R. Kelly are going to be sentenced a day apart. Richard's going first, and then Kelly after. And Don Russell's in July. So that's what's going on with the Enterprise. Okay? That is what's going on with the Enterprise. Okay, let me see. Oh, okay. I got your text messages, guys. Okay. So that is what is going on now. What was that again? Okay, no.
New tonight. What's up, guys? New tonight at 10, singer R. Kelly's Chicago trial will go ahead on August 1st. Today, a judge denied a request from Kelly's lawyer to delay the start of that trial for 3 months. The R&B star facing charges of child pornography and obstruction of justice. Kelly already faces a possible life sentence in New York, where he will be sentenced next month. New tonight at 10, singer R. Kelly's Chicago trial will go ahead on August 1st. Today, a judge denied a request from Kelly's lawyer to delay the start of that trial for 3 months. The R&B star facing charges of child pornography and obstruction of justice. Kelly already faces a possible life sentence in New York, where he will be sentenced next month. New tonight at 10, singer R. Kelly's Chicago trial will go ahead on August 1st. Today, a judge denied a request from Kelly's lawyer to delay the start of that trial for 3 months. The R&B star facing charges of child pornography and obstruction of justice. Kelly already faces a possible life sentence in New York, where he will be sentenced next month. New tonight at...
Okay. Just wanted to give you a reminder. All right, let me close this tab. All right, now. You know, there's all this yippity stuff going on about R. Kelly and his past and his drama and his troubles and his drama and his troubles. All right, guys. I don't know if you can see this on my screen. Let me do this real quick. Wait. Bringing the mic close to me again. What are you eating over there? What are you munching on, babe?
Nothing for you?
Yes, what is that? I got munchies now. Okay. Make sure you get... Okay. Espérate.
Okay.
I don't know what my husband's eating over there, but I'm hating right now. I feel like munching on something. Okay. So I wanted to read this article, okay? And this article was put out May 7th of 2008. Okay? This was right as his trial started or was about to start. So it says, after 6 years, singer R. Kelly to go on trial. It seems for a while as if R. Kelly's day in court might never come. But after 6 years, jury selection is scheduled to begin Friday in the R&B singer's child pornography trial. The child pornography charges were prompted by a videotape allegedly showing Kelly having sex with a girl as young as 13. Prosecutors, though, will have a unique challenge. The alleged victim, now 23, says it wasn't her. And Kelly's attorneys, including Ed Jensen, who often represents the rich and the famous, haven't admitted it's Kelly in the video. However, is there not reasonable doubt when the two people say it's not them? Said Michael Helfand, who is a Chicago attorney not involved in the case. But Helfand conceded that it's unclear what supporting evidence the prosecution might present. Now, the 41-year-old Kelly, he was 41 in 2008. The 41-year-old Kelly, his first name is Robert, faces up to 15 years in prison if convicted. But Kelly, one of urban music's biggest stars and a consistent hitmaker, despite his legal woes, is glad the wait is over, his spokesman said. Every waking moment, he's always had this hanging over his head, spokesman Alan Mayer said. He's confident that when all the evidence comes out, he'll be shown not to be guilty of any crime. The centerpiece of the trial is likely to be the video footage, which Judge Vincent Gahn ruled may be shown in open court. The prosecutors claimed the videotape was made sometime between January 1st of 1998 and November 1st of 2000. So at that time, come to find out, Rashonda Landfair, she was born in September of 1984, not 86. It was 84. Okay? It was 1984. I double checked. It's 1984. Okay? So she was born in 1984. And this happened in 1998 to somewhere also in November of 2000. So at that time, she was 14 years old because 1984 she was born to 1994. She's 10 years old in 1994. So she was 10 years old when he married Aaliyah. And Aaliyah was 15. So Rashonda Landfair was 10 years old in 1994. R. Kelly was married to Aaliyah in 1994. Aaliyah was 15. Okay? And he was still sleeping with Tiffany and Javante and the other girls in between that we don't know about. Now, it continues to say, but Kelly, one of urban music's biggest stars and a consistent hitmaker, despite his legal woes, is glad the wait is over. Now, every waking moment, he's always had this hanging over his head. He's confident that when all the evidence comes out, he'll be shown not to be guilty of any crime. Now, the centerpiece that we know is the video footage and the incident of the videos between January 1st of 1998 and November of 1st of 2000. and that the girl was born in September of 1984. Kelly was indicted on charges June 5th of 2002. Okay? So at this time, Rashonda's how old? If in 1994 she was 10, 1998 she was 14. So she was between the ages of 14 and 16 years old. She's still a minor. She's still a child. She's still a baby. It's still illegal consent. Whether she was 14 on the tape or whether she was 16 on the tape, it doesn't matter. She was still a minor, not legally able to consent to sex, whether she wanted it or not. How about that? Then Kelly was indicted on these charges, like I said, in June 5th of 2002. Now, at that time, she was 18 years old. She's going to look different if she would have appeared in court. But you were able to distinguish her because of her cheekbones. Her cheekbones are so high. She has a real, like, round but weird kind of jawline. Now, after the tape surfaced and was sold illegally on street corners and the internet, Chicago police began investigating after receiving the tape from the Chicago Sun-Times, which said it was sent to the paper anonymously. Police and prosecutors said their investigation, including interviews with about 50 witnesses, determined Kelly and an underage girl were on the tape, and that FBI forensics experts had determined the tape was authentic. It wasn't a fake tape. The tape was authentic. It was a real tape that came out of, ¿cómo se dice? A VHS, out of a camcorder. Okay? A VHS camcorder. Prosecutors may need more than a videotape to prove their case. Now, the Chicago attorney says, I'd be beyond surprised if he got convicted based on what's out there. It is unclear whether prosecutors have asked or would be allowed to tell jurors about accusations that Kelly allegedly had sexual relations with other minors, because some of the trial proceedings have been kept secret by the judge. Media outlets, including the Associated Press, have filed a legal challenge seeking to get court records and hearing transcripts unsealed. Kelly has settled 3 lawsuits accusing him of having sex with underage girls, filed in 1997, 2001, and 2002. In the third suit, the woman claimed that she began having sex with Kelly when she was 16 and that he forced her to have an abortion. Now, in 2003, Kelly was arrested and in Florida on child pornography charges after investigators said they found photos of him having sex with a girl. Charges were dropped after a judge ruled detectives illegally seized the photographs from a digital camera in his home. Documents show Kelly secretly married the singer Aaliyah in 1994 when she was 15. The marriage later was annulled by her parents. Aaliyah died in a plane crash in 2001. The trial's 6-year gap from indictment to trial is uncommon in child porn cases. But while suspects have a right to demand a swift trial, they're not obligated to ask for one, especially if they calculate that speed isn't in their best interests. In Kelly's case, more than 30 pretrial motions contributed to delays. At one point, hearings were delayed when Judge Gahn fell off a ladder at home and suffered multiple fractures. By the time he recovered, R. Kelly needed emergency surgery for a burst appendix. Despite his legal troubles, Kelly, who rose from poverty on Chicago's South Side to become a superstar, singer, songwriter, and producer, still retains a huge following, and his popularity has arguably grown since being charged in 2002. The singer has released more than half a dozen albums, most of them million sellers. He's also had a multitude of hits and gone on tours. His campy video series, Trapped in the Closet, has a cult following so strong that the Independent Film Channel premiered the latest chapters of the farcical musical out on DVD on its website last year before showing them on the network. Now, Kelly has a new song, Hair Braider. And we know who the hair braider is, right, guys? Lanita Carter, right? Her incident happened in 2004. And the song Hair Braider is due to release a new album in July. And he's due to release a new album out in July. Although he won a Grammy in 1997 for the gospel-like song I Believe I Can Fly, his biggest hits are sexually charged songs like Bump and Grind, Ignition, and his current single, Hair Braider. The trial is expected to draw crowds of reporters and fans to the courthouse, but Gahn is expected to keep a tight rein on the proceedings, from which cameras, cell phones, and recorders are banned. So when a fan snapped a picture of Kelly with her cell phone camera during a pretrial hearing last year, Gahn sentenced her to 5 days in jail and ordered her phone destroyed. He's not one of those guys who's going to let this trial turn into a circus. But in 2022, it's a circus. It was a circus then, it's a circus now. What's the difference? Crazy. Hey, Miss T. Welcome, Miss T. Hey, Aisha. What's up, Flawless? What's up, everybody in the building that just came in? Hello. What's up, my lady, Missy? Tears, Sharice. What's up, baby Ty? Purple, my girl, T-Bam. What's up, everybody? So, that was that, right? Then we have another one talking about Samaya Jameson. Okay. Now, Samaya Jameson was the little girl at the time. They were young girls. They were little girls in junior high school. Was her junior high school friend, her basketball, her basketball playmate, her basketball mate. Okay. And they also were schoolmates. They were kids who went to school together. They grew up together. At the time, um, Samaya Jameson was 24 years old and she was a hairstylist. And she testified that she recognized her childhood friend, Rashana Landfair, on the infamous R. Kelly sex tape. Jameson testified, I believe it was my best friend, along with her godfather, R. Kelly. Now, she estimated that Rashana was 13 or 14 when the tape was made. Now, Jameson went on to say that Kelly would give Rashana no less than $100 and no more than $500 to go shopping. R. Kelly is giving a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old girl. Well, at the time she was 13 or 14. He's giving her $100 to $500 to go shopping. Why would you give a little girl that age that much money? Can you answer that question, Dana? I want to know. Anybody? Any supporter can answer that question? Why would R. Kelly give this little girl $100 to $500 to go shopping? Imagine me at 13 or 14 years old with $100 or $500 in my pocket, and my family isn't rich, but some guy who claims to be my godfather is giving me money. Wouldn't you find that suspicious as a parent? Like, why is he giving her so much money? That's crazy. I don't even give her that much money, and I'm a father. A 12-year veteran of the Chicago Police Department who was married to a relative of the girl. He testified that, the Chicago Police Department, who was married to a relative of the girl on the video, testified she learned of the video after receiving a call from former R. Kelly protege Sparkle, another relative of the alleged victim. Now, when asked by the defense why she didn't take immediate action, Gibson testified that the entire situation was a very sensitive matter and neither the mother or the father or the victim wanted to go forward with the charges. A 12-year veteran of the Chicago Police Department who was married to a relative of Rashana's. She testified that she learned of the video after receiving a call from Sparkle. And then, when asked by the defense team on the trial why she didn't take immediate action, her line was that the entire situation was very sensitive matter. And neither the mother or the father or the victim wanted to go forward with the charges. So that's why she didn't say anything, because if she would have said something, it wouldn't matter, because the victim herself wouldn't testify. The parents wouldn't testify. So what are we doing? Right? That was a problem. That was a problem. A lot of people felt that this was a sensitive situation. And being that the mother and the father didn't do anything, why would anybody else? But Sparkle did. Sparkle is the one who made the move. This lady is just an in-law. That's not even her business. Okay. It's funny. Why did the reporter put a little footnote at the bottom, and he says, things aren't looking so good for the Pied Piper of R&B. Ron Isley is serving time. Wesley Snipes and Marion Jones are on their way to prison. R. Kelly might want to consider going to Cuba with Asata Shakur. Oh my God. Crazy. Mm, mm. All right. All right. So now here in like a blog site, it says that a witness in R. Kelly's trial has identified the singer in the sex tape being shown to the jury. A witness in the R. Kelly trial identified the singer in the tape. Right? And we know that that girl was Samaya, right? Now, the singer's defense claim it can't be Kelly in the video because he has a identifiable mole and scars on his back, which are not on the man in the footage. That's what they were trying to say, right? But however, another witness claims the setting for the video seems to be that of R. Kelly's home. And the trial was almost declared a mistrial on Thursday after the first witness after the first witness, a retired police officer, Dan Everett, referred to a previous investigation involving the girl in the video. Now, in an early closed hearing, it had been ruled the previous investigation could not be referred to during the trial. Judge Vincent Gaunt said he would call a mistrial if it happened again. Now, Kelly is on trial over 14 counts relating to the 26-minute video, which shows a man having sex with a girl around age 13. According to reports, Kelly, whose real name is Robert, rocked in his chair as the vile and disturbing video was shown to the courtroom. He was sitting there in the trial rocking like, oh my God, please, please, God, please don't let them realize it's me. Please, God, don't let them realize it's me. Please. Oh my God, please. I hope all this works. Be paying these people off. Please, please. This is what he's saying. Allegedly, in my head. That's what he was saying. I forgot what this one was. Yeah. Shame singer R. Kelly has a long and sordid history of preying on underage girls, according to a story in GQ magazine. Among the more disturbing allegations made by writer Jim DeRogatis, the 14-year-old girl who had kinky sex with Kelly 4 years ago in a widely bootlegged amateur porn tape is his goddaughter, Rashawn Lanfair, the daughter of Kelly's guitarist. When Kelly was romancing his 15-year-old protege Aaliyah in 1994, he took her to a suburban Chicago hotel room for a quickie marriage ceremony. Kelly used a phony marriage certificate that listed her as 18, and the two were legally hitched. The union was later annulled, and Aaliyah was sworn to secrecy and waived all civil claims against Kelly. You heard that? The union was later annulled, and Aaliyah was sworn to secrecy and waived all civil claims against R. Kelly. Childhood friends of Kelly tell GQ that he was sexually molested by a trusted older man from the neighborhood, which may have contributed to his abusive behavior as an adult. Now, while Kelly's appetite for young girls was an open secret, if a thief hadn't stolen a videotape from his gym bag 4 years ago in Chicago, he might never have been arrested because none of the underage girls he allegedly had sex with was willing to testify against him. The girls Kelly had seduced were more willing to settle than to testify, DeRogatis writes. Now, the well-lit and crystal clear stolen tape from Lanfair performing oral sex on Kelly, she also has intercourse with him and calls him daddy. On Kelly's next album, Loveland, one funky dance track is titled Come to Daddy. The Lanfair family refused to cooperate with police and then took a 2.5-month European vacation early this year, which led to speculation they'd been paid off. Now, this article was in 2008, y'all. The Lanfair's aunt, Stephanie Edwards, who recorded under the name Sparkle on a duet with Kelly called Be Careful, told GQ, there have been too many girls to count. His whole MO, he stated this to me not long ago, is, now this is what R. Kelly said to Sparkle. He likes them when they are ripe and young because he can mold them into what he wants them to be and control their minds and make them do what women should do. He needs to get help. He needs to be stopped. And that's what Sparkle said. R. Kelly stated to Sparkle that he likes them young when they are ripe and young because he can mold them into what he wants them to be and control their minds and make them do what women should do. Really, R. Kelly? Yeah, you're right, Sparkle. He needs to get some help and he needs to be stopped. Now, GQ reports that Kelly settled lawsuits from 2 other teenage girls and that 2 other cases are pending. And that we know that Kelly was facing 21 counts of child pornography. But authorities have been unable to indict him on the more serious charges of statutory rape without the cooperation of his victims. You see how that works? Now, somebody had made a comment and said, do you ever have anything nice to say about anyone? I've never come across a bigger celebrity basher than you. It must be tough being perfect. Oh my God. Another one says, I agree with Jan lady. Nobody in this world is perfect because we all live in our glass houses, right? Even celebrities live in their glass houses. The first one to toss a stone at the house must have just had someone throw a stone through their glass house. I'm not going to comment on the R. Kelly thing. It's not my job to point a finger and say that guy is guilty or that guy is innocent. I have hope in the law. If R. Kelly did all that stuff, I hope they find him guilty. If he didn't, I hope they find him innocent. Crazy. You know, I found this site here for Joycelyn. I don't know if you guys can see this. Let me see. All right, let me see. Right, wait. Now you see the site, guys? I'm going to put this site link in the chat. And I would like for all of us to go to this site and post some words for joy. Okay? I just posted the link in the chat right now. I just found this, guys. This is a site where you can pledge something for Joycelyn. Do you guys see the link there in the chat? Please hit the link. And if you can't do it now, but hit the link so that you guys can bookmark the page, save the page, and go back to it in your spare time and write some words for her. Now, what this page is about and the mission statement. Okay. For Joycelyn Savage, our mission, one, is to show in overwhelming numbers specific stories, pictures, and pledges to Joycelyn Savage and other victims of abuse, physical, sexual, emotional, that there is an abundance of resources and love for them outside the limited, constructed world of their abuser. No matter how purportedly powerful, talented, protected, wealthy, or respected he is. 2, to give people emotionally affected by the Joycelyn Savage / Robert Kelly cult story an additional opportunity to help in a non-monetary way, and B, to teach people about the power control wheel so that they are better able to spot abusers in their day-to-day lives and that of their friends and neighbors, and thus stop abuse early. C, to promote causes and fundraisers to end domestic violence and or that support Joycelyn Savage. Okay? Then we have here a page of resources. Okay? And it says that if you think or know that you or someone you know is being abused or someone you know is abusing another, please call the National Domestic Violence Hotline open 24/7. The number is 1-800-799-7233, or for hard of hearing, 1-800-787-3224. And you can also visit their website and live chat with them from 7 a.m. to 2 a.m. Central Time every day. And to report human trafficking, visit the Human Trafficking Hotline. Protect yourself in domestic violence situations with do-it-yourself guides on how to enact cyber security. Also, provide women in need with cosmetics and feminine products at Project Beauty Share. Also, a moving business, Meet Head Movers, employing student athlete movers, works with local domestic violence shelters to help victims move safely and quickly for free. Okay. Now, here you have the powerful man loophole. I don't know if I can make this any bigger. Oh, no, it's not doing it. Okay. It's not doing anything. All right. So this here is the. No, I can't make it any bigger. Yeah. All right. The powerful man loophole. And it talks about social class privileges, platforms, fame, abuse of culture, power, wealth, success, connections, media, police, courts, abuse of institutions, education, medicine, physical violence, sexual violence. And then inside it says, I think it says economic abuse, coercion, threats. So, okay, so it talks about using economic abuse, using coercion and threats, using intimidation, using emotional abuse, as well as using isolation and minimizing something else, as well as using children and using male privilege. Oh, it says minimizing, denying, and blaming. These are the loopholes of a man, of a powerful man. So I think this is a cool thing that they're doing here for her. And then there's an actual video at the end of this here, and it talks about understanding the power and control wheel. So let's check this out.
So I want to talk to you about the power and control wheel. It is a wheel that was developed in Duluth, Minnesota in the early 1980s, and it was advocates talking to women who were battered, many conversations about what it's like to live with a man who beats them into submission. What are all the ways in which he gets this done? And when you look at the wheel, on the outside, you see this physical and sexual violence. And then on the inside, you see these 8 different tactics and ways in which they achieve this dominance over their partners. A lot of those tactics inside that wheel are things that might happen in other relationships that aren't battering, like emotional abuse. What changes in these relationships is when physical violence or the threat of it has been used in the relationship, it changes how those tactics play out. So for example, if a man comes home in a nonviolent relationship and announces to his wife that he's not going to do any domestic chores anymore, that would probably cause some sort of a sit-down conversation between the two of them. However, in a relationship where there's battering, if he comes home and announces that he's not going to do any domestic chores from this point forward, then she's got a lot to think about and how she wants to respond to that, because he's proven that he will use physical violence to get her to submit. And so the way in which those tactics play out changes when there's physical and sexual violence in the relationship. And then if you see that power and control in the middle, that's what he ends up with when he uses the violence and all these different tactics to dominate her. He ends up with power and control. Now, most men won't say, I want power and control over her. That wouldn't be their language. What they often end up saying is that I want her to shut the hell up. I want her to stay home. I want her to get the kids in bed. I want her to discipline the kids in the correct way. That's what he's trying to get. He has this way of trying to get her to constantly do or execute the world as he sees it. And the tactics are how he achieves that. On the power and control wheel, another tactic is minimizing, denying, and blaming. And this particular tactic is one which, like intimidation, happens very often. Anytime something doesn't go the way he believes it should go, he finds a way to either shift the blame from himself to her or blame whatever it is that happened on her. So it could be something like the kids were misbehaving at grandpa and grandma's. It's because she doesn't know how to parent. It's because she doesn't know how to manage her children. She doesn't listen to him, therefore she's defective, and therefore it's her fault. It could be something like he went out drinking, he didn't call, he comes home late, and she says, where were you? You didn't call. Well, I didn't call because I know I'm going to get the same thing from you every time I do. You're the reason I don't call. You're the reason I don't come home, right? So everything that happens that's a problem in the house gets shifted to her. Now, how this works, how this functions is that when he's developed a power relationship over her, she doesn't have a way to confront it. So when he blames her, if she attempts to blame him back, then he'll up the ante. And as guys have said, if she wants to yell, I can yell louder. She wants to push, I can push harder. She wants to hit, I can hit harder, right? So he's going to use as much force as it takes her to submit to what he wants. Now, this tactic of blaming is one of those real crazy making kinds of behaviors where the woman and the kids will know what really did happen. But when you live with a man who is violent and you're afraid and he's battering you, the best way to navigate and to stay safe is to know more about him than he knows about himself. To do that, you have to take on a lot of his thinking. So the longer you spend with a man like this, the more that you start adopting the way he thinks. Initially as a strategy to navigate safely around him, but eventually what happens is you can tend to lose yourself because now you've adopted his thinking rather than your own. And so when he starts blaming you or minimizing what he's done, even if it's beating you into submission, it's your fault. I had a guy tell me that his partner went out to the bar with some friends, and she came home, and he grabbed her by the hair, drug her around the apartment. And as he's explaining this to me, he says, you know, I wanted her to know it's not me that's doing this to you. You did this to you. You went out with your friends to a bar when you're in a relationship with me, and you don't get to do that. So I wouldn't be dragging you around the apartment by your hair if you would have done what I told you to do, right? So the violence and the hurt and the pain is even put on her. That's her fault. So after a while, like I said, you know, you start taking on that thinking that he has, and you begin to blame yourself, even sometimes before he does. If I would have just made dinner differently, if I would have just, mowed the lawn and got the lines just right the way he wants them, then he wouldn't have come home and screamed and yelled and broke things or hit me or slapped me, right? And when in reality, it has nothing to do with the lawn or the dinner. It's really his desire and his way of dominating you and getting you to submit to what he wants you to do.
Ain't that the truth?
When you're looking at the power and control wheel, on the outside band is physical and sexual violence. And this is the part of the wheel, this is the tactic that men will use to get their partners to submit. Now, there's a lot of different tactics in the middle that they also use, but this is the one that holds them all together. This is the one that instills the greatest amount of fear, is how far will he go? You know, women have said, he's beating me and I don't know if I'm going to get back up. I don't know how it's going to stop. He's hitting my head against the wall. I think this might be the end for me. The violence that he uses, the threats that he combines with that violence are extremely frightening, both to her and the children. And the violence isn't just physical in the sense of hitting, slapping, and pushing, but there's also a great deal of sexual violence that happens. So you get this guy who believes that he gets to dominate his partner, beat her into submission. As one of my colleagues often said, that kind of behavior, that kind of thinking doesn't stop at the bedroom door. And so he has the sex that he wants when he wants it. Men have talked about having a sexual quota per week that she has to submit to. The sex that women talk about having with these men, it's really about, like everything else, it's how he wants it, it's when he wants it, and she really kind of vanishes in the equation. She's really just a tool for him to get off. Another thing men talk about in class is this notion of makeup sex. So there's been an argument, he might have been physically beat her. And then they will talk about how this makeup sex is the best sex that they've ever had. Like it's the greatest sex there is. But the interesting thing is when you go and you talk to women who've been battered and ask them about this notion of makeup sex, it's one of the most humiliating things that they end up talking about. Because now this guy has just beat them. And now he wants to have sex with them. I mean, literally there was a woman who said that she put a pillow over her face when he was having this makeup sex with her. And it didn't bother him because it wasn't about her. It was about him. So when we think about physical violence and sexual violence, we need to think about it on a continuum as opposed to separate things that happen. A man who believes that he gets to dominate a woman, that dominance doesn't stop at the bedroom door. It continues.
Okay. Wow. You know, people don't understand what it is to go through domestic violence or domestic abuse. You don't.
My name is Scott Miller. One of the things I do in this work around domestic violence is work with men who are typically court ordered into a program to hopefully become nonviolent with their families. And I've been doing that work for 14 years. And one of the things I've learned from them is how they get their way as men in the home. And one of those tactics that are on the power and control wheel that men use is this use of children as a way to leverage her to either start doing things that she's not or stop doing things that she is. This use of children is as I've said, really linked to her desire to be these children's mother, the love that she has for them. He sees this and he knows that if there's any way to get her to stop or start doing something, it's to use the most precious thing in her life, which are her kids. This can take a lot of different forms. So, for example, in a relationship where it is ended and they're apart, she will have certain ways of raising that particular child. So if it's a young child, the child will nap at a certain time and then get up and have a snack and then have lunch at a certain time. And really, anybody who's parented children know that, especially when they're young, kind of that structure and predictable way that the day goes on is important to children. And so what he'll do is he'll interrupt that on purpose. So what we hear from women who pick up their kids through a visitation center, for example, is that the kids come back with loaded diapers, or he will stuff the children full of sugar prior to sending the kids back, knowing full well that because he hasn't napped them and now he's filled them full of sugar, that they will be a nightmare for the rest of the day with her when she takes them home. And it really goes to this realization that although these men love their kids, their desire to control and make their partner pay for something they have done supersedes that love, because they will use those kids as tools to get back at her. In another instance, you might have a father who says to the mother of these children, "If you leave me, if you don't do what I say, I will take your children and you'll never see them again." Now, for most of us who work in the courts, we know that that's a pretty difficult thing to achieve, is to force another parent into a position where they never get to see their children. But because he always gets his way in that home, she's come to understand that this is a real possibility, that he can actually achieve this. And so it drives home this idea that I better do what he says, because nothing's more important than my kids. And if he takes them from me, then I lose a big part of myself. And he knows that, and he uses it against her.
Wow. Ah.
Intimidation is another tactic on the power and control wheel. And this particular tactic walks with him wherever he is in the home with the family. It's generated by the violence that he's used in the past, how he's instilled fear in the family due to other behaviors. It could be kicking the dog. It could be actual slapping his wife or his children. But the intimidation piece of it is really linked to his ability to overcome anybody else's resistance in the home for what he wants to have happen. And sometimes it even plays out in ways where he doesn't intend it. So, for example, he's in the kitchen and he's just reaching into a cabinet to get a plate. And he reaches up and opens that cabinet, and she's standing near. She may flinch because she doesn't know if that gesture means that she's going to get hit or if he's actually just going into the cabinet. That's how that intimidation works. It can be something as subtle as a stare across the room, or it can be something where he's actually in her face, screaming, threatening, using threatening gestures that he's going to be violent to get her to submit. So, without intimidation, it's very difficult for him to achieve some of the things that he wants in the house. Like, say, if he wants a clean house, he's not going to beat somebody typically every time he wants a clean house. What he's going to use is intimidation. That's where he's going to begin. So he's going to get in her face. He's going to tell her what she's doing wrong. And he's going to do it in a way where she understands there's no way to overcome what force he may use to get her to submit.
Right.
So then at that point, as a woman, she's standing there thinking, all right, do I want to do it this time and just avoid the consequence? Do I want to leave because this kind of thing is never going to end? Or is today a day where I'm going to draw a line and I'm going to push back? And these are the only options you really have working with somebody who believes they get to dominate you.
Right.
And this domination not only includes what he wants his partner to do, but also what he wants his kids to do. So he becomes the main disciplinarian for the children. And how he does that is way more severe than typically what kind of discipline the mother dishes out. And so when she comes into a room by herself and the kids are doing something they're not supposed to, the struggle she has is that she tells them to stop and they just ignore her because she really isn't the reference point for consequence in the home. He's now established himself as one.
Right.
And the real crazy making frustration that women talk about is that they do everything they can to parent their children, guide them in a direction, get ignored, and then he sees this and blames her for being a bad parent because when he does it, they listen. When she doesn't, they don't. And what he's blind to is that he's taken literally her ability to parent from her by making him such a threat in the house and using intimidation to get his way, both with her and with the children.
Wow. Mm-mm-mm.
On the power and control wheel, one of the tactics is male privilege. And if there's anything that drives all of this abusive behavior that we've been talking about, this is it. It's the notion that as a man in relationship with a woman, I believe that I get to dominate you, control you, use physical violence if necessary to get you to submit to me. Because literally the privilege goes right to the core of that man's identity. And he will fight for that, to hold on to that, as if he's literally fighting to hold on to himself. So, for example, in class, when I work with men who've committed these acts of violence against their partners, and I've role played, say, how to negotiate fairly, right? So we're not being abusive, we're acting out of partnership, and they'll see me negotiate some outcome with my co-facilitator, who's a woman. And I'll ask the guys, so what'd you think? And I often get responses like, well, you don't have a spine. Like, why didn't you just tell her what to do? They literally can't imagine themselves sitting down with a woman and on an equal basis and negotiating something out because they don't believe that she's actually equal to him.
Wow.
Now, if I ask them, do you make mistakes? They'll say, yeah, I make mistakes. I said, what about owning those mistakes to her? And I'll get this, like one guy said, look, I make mistakes. I might be wrong sometimes, but I'm never going to be wrong to her.
Oh, wow.
Okay. So the whole idea behind that is that I'm smarter than she is. I'm better than she is. And if in any way she comes equal to me, then I as a man get diminished because his identity is so grounded in this notion of superiority over women that he literally can't even imagine looking at her eye to eye, calling her by her given name. So
wow.
If we're looking for something that's behind why men beat women into submission, it is this notion of privilege, of entitlement, of dominance.
That's really interesting. It's really interesting how he said just now about not even calling her by her name. I wonder if that's why R. Kelly gives all the girls nicknames. It's about that power and control shit. He can't face them. He can't face them as their true selves. It's weird. I'm gonna repeat that again.
Women into submission. It is this notion of privilege, of entitlement, of dominance that they have, and that they believe they get to execute with the woman in their lives. They don't believe this about other people in their lives. So, for example, they can go down and sit down with a coworker or their boss and negotiate. So it's not like they don't have the skill to negotiate. They simply just don't believe that I have to negotiate with her because she's mine and I get to tell her what to do.
Oh, wow.
That's the thinking at its fundamental core when we work with men who batter, that we're trying to help them see what it leads to and what they lose and what happens to her when they execute it. Emotional abuse is another tactic on the power and control wheel. This particular form of abuse is something that happens usually more often than the physical violence does, because it's his way of getting her to understand that she's less than. He believes in his head that he has a right to dominate her. He believes that he's superior to her. He wants her to believe the same thing. And part of how he gets her to believe he's superior is by constantly putting her down. So the kitchen's never clean enough. The dishes are never done the right way. The kids are never disciplined correctly. You don't even go to the store on the right road. It takes you too long to get to the kids' school and back again. I mean, there's literally nothing that she does right. And he's constantly using emotional abuse as a way to get her to believe that not only isn't she worthy, but literally she couldn't survive on her own without him. That she needs his superior thinking abilities in order to even survive. This has come to me many times when working with men who are violent and then talking to their partners. And, an example would be a woman who raised 6 children on her own. He literally didn't do anything to help raise these kids. He didn't even work. She held the job. She made the money. And when he first was put in jail and she was alone with these kids, her response was, I don't think I can possibly make it without him. He contributes so much. Now, as advocates, the advocates knew that wasn't the case. They knew that she was, running this house and keeping it together, and he was really detracting from all of it. But she didn't know that because he had so convinced her, so diminished her, that she didn't believe in herself. Now, 8 months later, when he's still in jail, she comes into the building and says, I don't think I actually need him in the house. I make the money. I raise my kids. I attend to all their needs. I'm not sure what he's actually done in the last 10 years to contribute to this home. Right? She came to that understanding when she had the space to actually prove to herself that she could make it. So this emotional abuse takes the form of a lot of name calling, not just putting her down and her choices down, but also name calling. So I've read police reports for years and years and years, hundreds of police reports. I've yet to come across a police report where an officer is interviewing a man who has beaten his partner and he refers to her by her given name. He refers to her as a cunt, a whore, a bitch, a slut, all these different names. but never her name. And when we work with men in class in a rehabilitation effort, one of the group rules is that they have to call their partners by their name. There are men in class who refuse to participate because they will not use her given name.
Wow.
Because it's a point of respect. And they can't extend that to their partners because they don't believe that she's actually equal to them. This is the depth of that entitlement, that dominance that they carry into the home and into their relationships with women. So, although the women say that the hitting causes a great deal of fear and a great deal of pain, it's the emotional abuse, that constant diminishment of who they are as women, and the name calling that gets associated with it, that is some of the hardest for the women to overcome, because they literally lose themselves in this notion that they are something other than who they believe they were before they met him. On the power and control wheel, there's a tactic called coercion and threats. Coercion is a way in which a man gets a woman to do what he wants her to do, or stop doing something that he doesn't want her to do. And he'll use something that the woman values. Oftentimes what I hear from women is that the thing that he uses often is the children, because he knows that's what women value most, are their children. So he'll use those children as leverage against her to get her to submit. So, for example, on an exchange of kids, say the parties are separated, he will use her desire to see the children as a way to get sex from her. So if you give me the sex that I want, then I'll let you see your children. Now, the threat piece comes in when the coercion doesn't work. So if the coercion isn't working, then he's going to add the piece, well, you're never going to see your kids again, continuing on that theme with children. Or if you don't do what I say, then he's going to take some artifact that she has, maybe a family heirloom, and threaten to destroy it if she doesn't submit to him. So this is how threats and coercion work together against women. And this is how one of the ways in which he uses to get his partner to submit.
All R. Kelly tactics and others out there.
Economic abuse is another tactic on the power and control wheel. This particular tactic really derives from this notion that men have, something they've told me time and again in the class that I work with them at, is that money is power. And if you control the money, you control the house. And I found that kind of an interesting idea. So I asked this.
If you control the money, you control the house. Pay attention to the people in the back who might be watching this right now. Pay attention. Understand domestic violence and what women go through and the tactics that the abusers use. And think about everything that you heard in the trial as far as R. Kelly and his patterns of behavior. Sit and listen and understand. Please do.
This guy, if money is control, ask this guy, if money is control, what happens when you don't make the money? What happens when she makes the money and brings it all home and you are unemployed and don't have any income coming in? And he said, well, yeah, I still have control, because then when she brings the money home and deposits in the account, I have the debit card and I have the checkbook and she doesn't get access. So it really didn't, initially it was, if I make the money and it's my money, then I get to control it. But then when posed with the idea that, well, what if you're unemployed, you don't make the money, then who gets to control it? Well, she still doesn't get to, because ultimately he sees this is a one way to control his partner's movement, what she buys, her autonomy. Taking money from his partner is a way to remove her ability to move freely in the world, which is his goal. So this idea that if you control the money, you control the house, is something that men really hold strong to. If they give her money, if she has access to resources, then she has access to leave. And this is one way in which they can isolate her, control what she buys, controls where she goes, because she doesn't have access to the funds to do those things.
Rashawn Landfair was paid $100 to $500 at a time. The girls were given allowances. Right? Right. Last video, guys, and then I'm going to end this live, y'all.
Isolation is another tactic on the power and control wheel. And when I listen to men talk about isolating their partners, there's a lot of ways that they talk about going about this particular tactic. The ultimate goal is to keep her from hearing voices other than his. So he's got this way he wants her to think. He's got this way he wants her to feel, things he wants her to do. If she comes in contact with members of her family, her friends, they'll have other ideas about what she should be doing. And he doesn't want those ideas in her head. He wants his ideas in her head.
Right.
So he finds ways of isolating her. So it might be something as subtle as creating an argument every time she wants to go out and see her family or friends, so that it gets to the point where it's just so hard to even go out that I just quit. I'll just stay in because I don't need another argument. I don't need a bunch of yelling. I don't need something broken. I don't need to be threatened. I'll just stay home. I'll just submit to avoid the consequence. It could be something like checking her cell phone. So she doesn't have any privacy. So her Facebook account, her email, her phone, she has to give him all the passwords so that he can look and make sure she's not talking to anybody who he doesn't approve of.
Wow. Who does that sound like? That sounds a lot like R. Kelly. A lot of this sounds like R. Kelly and what he would do to these girls. Domestic violence is real. And if these girls were coerced to think that they were in relationships with R. Kelly, this is exactly the tactics he used to keep them there.
It could be something as severe as literally making her move away from friends and family, move into the country where there's only one vehicle and he's the one who uses it. So literally, not only is she socially isolated from her friends and family, but she's physically isolated. So she can't get to them when he's not around. He'll even take the phone with him so that she doesn't have a phone to even use to call when he's gone. All of these things are this notion that if I can control how she thinks, then I can control her. And the more contact she has outside of me, the less likely I'm going to be able to maintain that control. One of the beliefs that drive isolation is that you're mine. You have to do what I want you to do because I own you.
Right.
And it's interesting to talk to men about how they get this notion of ownership. Different men have different lines for it. So one guy might say it's when she got pregnant. Another guy might say it's when I got married to her. Another man might say it's when she moved away from her family with me. They all have this different line that now she's mine. But once she's mine, now I get to control how she thinks, how she feels, and how she acts. And the best way to do that is to isolate her from anybody but me.
Oh, okay, it's making me. All right. It made me post it to Facebook. That's why. Okay. Thank you, SK. Thank you, Mama. So, so now do you understand the power of control? Thank you, SK. Exactly. Exactly. Tears. R. Kelly went broke controlling minors with money. He went broke by settling with them. That's one way of control. So they would never speak out about him. And giving them money, shopping sprees, doing this, doing that, making them look like the grass was greener on the other side. He played with them emotionally. Sad situation. These girls didn't realize, they didn't know the signs. Joy, go home. Guys, like I said, please do me a favor. Did I put it in here again? Wait, let me see if I have it here again. You see the comment on the screen? I hope that's it too. All right, I'm putting it in the chat again. Please, for those who just walked in, anybody, if you can, please go to this website here and leave an inspiring letter for Joy. All right, guys. Please. We need to give her some inspiration. Maybe she's listening right now. Hopefully she can go to the website herself and check it out and read, the little letters that people have written to her. I love you too, Mama, and thank you so much. So, guys, y'all already know, do me a favor. Please hit that like button on your way out. Thank you. And don't forget to hit the link that you see on the screen. I also posted it in the chat, guys. For those who are on the replay, leave your comments below. Make sure they're respectful. They won't get deleted. Thank you. And Diva Divine Light is out. Peace.
Ladies and gentlemen.